what is spirituality? It's everything. I said, what does that mean? You want to learn about gratitude. You go there, you realize all the things you usually complain about is irrelevant. What I've been most fascinated with actually is why religion fights religion. Is religion important?
Welcome to the Spencer Lodge podcast in partnership with Vault Hill, Arabian Business and Najahi Events. Some people are spiritual, some people are practical. Never do the two come together. Master Sri Akarshana is on the show today to teach us how we can take our spiritual side, our kind of practical and commercial side, and bring those two together so that we can live a better, more fulfilling life and still go out there and make it happen in the world of business. Let's cue the music because this one is beautiful. Vault Hill is the world's first human-centric metaverse that's opened its doors for brands and entities to launch their presence in the metaverse in only 48 hours. This is the fastest activation ever and the first time ever any metaverse has offered this. Upon this activation process, brands will receive free virtual land in Vault Hill City and can give life to their metaverse presence by buying buildings in the Vault Hill marketplace and deploy it on their dedicated VLAND. Then brands can customize their land using unbounded creativity. They can display their own NFTs or upload different media, logos, or digital creations to start to capitalize from their digital assets. Go check out vaulthill.io. And lastly, thank you to Najahi Events, who have been sponsoring us now on the podcast for over a year. Najahi bring motivational speakers to the region to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to achieve better success and live a better life. Akarshana, what does that mean?
Attraction.
Okay.
It was a name given to me by my spiritual master, Grandmaster Akshar.
It's a very nice thing to say, isn't it, to be called that?
Yes, and I think everything holds power, everything holds energy. That's a very powerful thing itself. And Sri is representing wealth and abundance, and so there's a lot of things have been manifesting since that name change. Actually,
it sounds like it could either be a burden or a joy. It's kind of like a big responsibility with those two very powerful words there when you consider it.
It's a big responsibility. It is, but there was a lot of physical and mental training that needed to be done in the mountains before I was able to receive that. Because if one does not have the capacity, the vessel is not strong enough, the mind is not strong enough, then there's a lot you need to deal with, you know?
Mm. So tell me what I would need to know about you that has had the most impact on who you are today.
I think it's the importance of, number one, the importance of wealth, because we're living in this human material world, whether we like it or not. But at the same time, the importance of, we can call spirituality, or we can call consciousness, or we can call just love and kindness and compassion. I think that in this world, we have a very clean divide, kind of. You have the people who are chasing nonstop money, and thinking that happiness is on the other side of it. Then you have the other side, which is all the spiritual woo-woo people who are all like, oh, tree huggers, everything. But in reality, you know, you speak to 9 out of 10 of the spiritual people, they are not really living in abundance. They are struggling. They're struggling to even look after their children, or, you know, because it's very interesting when there's that saying where they say, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are actually spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And I think that, number one, the material people do not realize that, hey, we are spiritual beings. There's something more than just material. But then the spiritual side of people, the spiritual people, I think they also forget that we are in the material world temporarily. So you do need a roof over your head, you do need food, and to get all of that, you need money. And throughout my journey, it just coincidentally went the route of going for money and then realizing money wasn't everything, awakening to thinking it's all about love and giving only, and then realizing I had nothing left to give because I ran out of money.
Yeah.
And then realizing, hey, it's the balance of both. So I can see, connecting the dots backwards, that is my purpose in this lifetime. It's God, universe has given me that path so that I can share and bridge the gap between these two types of people. And I believe when you bridge that gap, which is what I've been doing in my life, life is beautiful. There's no stress. You can do what you want. You can enjoy life. You have the freedom, and you have that wealth and that capacity as well to be able to do more good in this world.
The way I think about it is it's almost like I see like the vegans and the meat eaters. They clearly have different opinions. So we'll say the meat eaters are the materialistic guys, the ones that are chasing the money, and the vegans are the spiritual ones. And it's almost, or it appears ugly for a spiritual person to think about the importance of money. It's almost frowned upon, almost in the way that it's perceived. And what you're doing is different to that, which is why I'm really interested in it.
It's from what you said at the beginning. It's a tough message to share. So the moment I decided that I will share this message, I knew what I'm getting into. You see, it's very easy. It's much easier for me to be silent about it and just live a happy life. Mm-hmm. Much easier, right? Because then nobody can go and judge you and whatever. I'm just living my life. I'm just happily living my life and living in abundance at the same time. But because I see suffering is happening. I mean, even in a place like here, like Dubai, where you have the extreme rich, and then you have everybody else who's just thinking that I need to get on that other side. And hopefully if I get to the other side, then I will be happy. But they haven't got happiness now, Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's suffering there because they're constantly chasing, and they will continue to chase because growth is a natural human need. So we'll continue to want more and want more. But then I see suffering on the other side too. You see, because I've met so many spiritual people. They're beautiful people. They want to make a difference in this world. You ask them, what's your purpose? I want to heal the world. I say, how are you going to do it? I say, I'm going to send healing energies. I'm saying, but those kids out there right now, they just need food. And that requires money. So I see they want so much good in this world, but they haven't got the capacity to do it. So I see like both sides suffering. And I said, okay, somebody's got to do that. The dirty work. I call it dirty work is because for somebody to connect with both of these crowds, to bridge that gap, I have to show that I have material to be able to connect to the material world. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. If every single day I show up and I'm just namaste, namaste, and wearing a robe, only spiritual people will ever connect with me. How am I going to awaken the other people? Mm-hmm. But the same way, if I just go material and I don't talk about spirituality, then at the same time, I cannot help that side. And that's where maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, when I just only started YouTube, the YouTube channel in 2018. And I said, if I'm going to go for this and I'm going to really go for this message, I'm going to make that impact. It's going to create some controversy, but it's going to get their attention. And so that's when Yogi with the Lamborghini came in. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to put it in the background so that the material people, they click. And in front of the Lamborghini, I'm going to talk about love, and I'm going to talk about kindness. I'm going to talk about self-love. And then their mind is going to be like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. How does he have a Lamborghini if he's spiritual, and then the other side would be like, why is he talking about that? So, and it worked because we got about 1 million subscribers within the first year, and everything went viral. So, but there is a backlash, because obviously you can imagine in the comments, right? The spiritual people are saying, you're not spiritual, right? And the material people are saying, you crazy, what's wrong with you, right? But, and that was a very interesting time, because I went through that time, and I think I thought I was ready for it, but actually I wasn't ready for it. That's the reality, because maybe come 2019, there's so much that was, obviously there was like thousands of people saying, thank you so much, you've changed my life. But you know what it is being an influencer. When one comment comes in and they say, this is wrong, or you're a scam, or this is, and this message isn't true, and you're not spiritual. And you get affected by that, as a human being, you have this emotional, this feeling, this attachment. And so I couldn't handle it. That's the reality. And when I couldn't handle it, there was times where I felt like, maybe I've done what I need to do. I don't want to do this anymore, And then, very interesting, at the same time as I said I didn't want to do it anymore, I was reached out by this Himalayan yogi that asked me to go to the mountains for this spiritual awakening journey. And I was like, what is that? Practicing yoga? I don't want to practice yoga, But I just said yes, and I went out there, and then I did not know that through that spiritual journey and that third eye activation and all this meditation and physical practice, I didn't know that was training my vessel to become so strong and to understand my purpose, to be able to foresee future and say, okay, I know my purpose, connect all the dots. And the vision and the mission is bigger than me. Before it was for me. Right? I grow a YouTube channel. Hey, yeah, I want to get this message out there so I can grow my following. But I got affected by all the comments. Now, when I came out of the mountains, the whole thing changed, because it was like, this is not about me. And if it's not about me, then actually it doesn't matter what you say. I know my intention, and I know why I'm on this planet, and I know my purpose, and it doesn't matter what you say. I'm going to do it because I know my intention. And so then I pushed even harder this message out, and now we build actually a very solid community who attend our academy and our trainings every single day. We've got about 30,000 people inside that community now, so it's a very big thing. But we teach people the balance of, hey, learn how to make money, learn that you need to take action. It's not just some woo-woo visualization stuff. And learn the steps you need to take to actually build a business or have that entrepreneur or money mindset. But at the same time, don't attach yourself to it. Don't think that is what defines you, Instead,
It's interesting you say this, because as you're talking to me, I'm thinking about my journey, and I'm trying to see where I fit on that path. And I clearly for many years was the money motivated, career motivated guy. And I always wanted more, wanted to achieve more, wanted to be more, and all that kind of stuff. And I would never ever achieve the person who had achieved the most in material terms, because there was always going to be somebody with more, no matter what you do. Go and spend a weekend in Monaco, you're a poor person, Right. There's plenty of rich people just here on our street. So it wasn't until I understood what the word gratitude really meant that anything changed for me at all, because I couldn't put those spiritual and commercial sides together. And it was realizing and being really conscious about how lucky I was and how grateful I was that helped me understand how spirituality was there to play a part in my life. But before then, it didn't exist. And so this link is gratitude. How big a part does it play?
I think it's everything, because we always say have an attitude of gratitude. When you have that, then obviously your positivity attracts more positivity, and also you are detached from outcome. Whenever we talk about law of attraction or manifestation, we say it's very important to detach from the outcome, because we all know what happens when we hold on and we fight for something. And it seems like the more we fight, the more it kind of goes away, right? It's tough. And so it's everything. But there's actually one spiritual practice that we do. It's called Siddho Ham Kriya. And it actually consists of 5 steps, 5 actions and 5 intentions that we do early in the morning. And what you're saying there, I just thought of this because the first step we do is we stand there and we connect. So we allow ourselves just to connect within, hear ourselves out without, get rid of all the noise and all the clutter that, media and everything is, just connect. What am I feeling? Connect with whatever you believe in, God, universe, whatever, connect. Just connect with nature. Feel is a feel good. Just like you were mentioning before about water. Water sometimes it makes people peaceful, connect. So we say first step is connect. Second step, we say, okay, we can go in now into prayer. And when we say we're going to prayer, what is prayer? We say, don't pray for yourself. We say, pray for the universe. And what does that mean, pray for the universe? Because it's very abstract, right? We say, if you could send your prayers out to the universe, all the bad happenings that's happening around the world right now, what would you pray for? And then you'll think, okay, well, all the people who are suffering, I pray for them to become healthy and happy. All the people who are weak, I pray for them to have strength. If all the people who are upset to be happy, all them who have hate and anger to have love and kindness and compassion. And the interesting thing is when we pray that way, what happens is we become what we are praying, right? You cannot say, I'm going to send love out by feeling hate. Mm-hmm. I can only say, I'm going to send love out to everybody who is in suffering right now by feeling love. That's how I send it out. But it's very interesting because when you send it out, you become what you send out. And when you become, you attract. So the second thing we do is we do prayer. We say, don't pray for self. Pray for something beyond self. And then after that, this is the part where it's interesting, because what my master taught was, he said, okay, now put your hands out. And the next part is we say receive. The third stage is receive. And when we receive, how do we receive? He said, your affirmation, or we can call mantra, is saying, universe or God, I'm open to receiving. Yet at the same time, if I don't receive anything at all, I'm grateful for everything that I have. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a very powerful thing. Why? Because think about it like this. We just set an intention. Unconsciously, because we were just saying prayer. But that's an intention, because we become it. So we've set that intention, we put it out to the universe. But then afterwards, what are we saying? We're saying, actually, universe, I'm open to receiving, which is very important because some people aren't open to receive. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I don't receive anything at all, I'm just forever grateful just to be able to be alive right now, be able to do this practice right now. And so we go into receiving, mm-hmm. and then afterwards we go into gratitude. Mm-hmm. And we say everything we're grateful for. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remind ourselves. And then we conclude. We bow down, we conclude. So we do this practice every day. What does it do? It humbles you. Every morning, you remind yourself, hey, there's something bigger. And you remind yourself, hey, let's work in service for others. That is what entrepreneurship is, right? When we can serve others well, that's the key, that's the core of entrepreneurship. And so we're practicing all of this, and it's ingraining inside our system, and that attitude of gratitude starts early in the morning, and it changes everything that we do in the day.
When I was asked if I would interview you by my team, I was going to come at this from a completely different angle. And my audience who knows me, that's seen me on stage and whatnot, will know that I'm anti-woo-woo.
Okay.
All right? And because I believe in action. Mm. And I believe in nothing else, because everything else is irrelevant. Action is the only thing that will lead to a result. We can, you can manifest or wish the world a million things, but unless you take some action, you get nothing. And so if you want to make $100, then you need to find out what the path is to make $100 and do those things every day so that $100 can be made, whatever the amount is and whatever the job is, the career, whatever. And so I'm a little bit thrown because what you've done is you've stopped my argument before I had one. Because my argument was, I'm not into the spiritual woo-woo type of stuff. I'm into the action type of stuff. But what you're saying is that because they couldn't coexist in my head before, but they actually can coexist. And it's your way of understanding it and describing it is a way that I'd not even contemplated, because I was one of the people over here that was going, yeah, you can keep your spiritual stuff because it's all about the action.
I asked my spiritual master one time, I said, what is spirituality? He told me, it's everything. Everything. I said, what does that mean? He said, spirituality is a science. I said, so what does that mean? What's God? God is science. I said, what does that mean? He said, it's energy. He said, do you believe in energy? I said, I believe in energy. Of course, it's science. He said, okay, so that's spirituality. Every energy, all energy. You have energy. There's energy beyond you, and all energy is connected. There is attraction. There is detraction. That's energy. So that is spirituality. And so when people ask me today, they say, okay, they say, prove to me manifestation is real. I say, well, how did you manifest your breakfast this morning? And they're like, what do you mean? I didn't manifest my breakfast. I said, okay, let's talk about people who talk about law of attraction and manifestation. I said, did you, number one, think about having breakfast before you got the breakfast? Yes. So, okay, so thought is the first thing, right? Thought about it. I said, okay, cool. Number two, we say about vibrations, emotions. Okay, did you feel emotional desire to having breakfast? This is yes, otherwise I wouldn't have had it. I said, okay, cool. So you thought, then you kicked off emotions. That's what you did, right? I said, okay, cool. I said, afterwards, did you believe, right? We saw, but belief is very important. Did you believe you will be able to achieve breakfast this morning? Say, well, yes, obviously, I just go into the kitchen. Okay, you believed it. Great. If you didn't believe it, you wouldn't have achieved it, right? So, okay, you believe. Let's go. Belief is very important. Mindset and all the rest of it, okay? I said, okay, did you take, we say action, law of action. Did you take some form of action, right? To go and get the breakfast, order the breakfast, or make the breakfast? Yes, you did. Okay. When you took the action, after taking the action, did you trust that everything will pan out okay? Meaning the milk would have gone in the bowl safely, everything would, did you trust the process? Yeah, I ordered that breakfast every day. Of course it's going to come. Great, you trusted, right? And I say, finally, when the breakfast finally arrived, were you open to receiving it? Or were you like, no, I'm not worthy of this. No, God, universe, I'm not good enough for this. Or were you like, hey, I deserve this. Hey, I should take it now, right? You did it. You received it. I said, that is law of attraction principles. That is manifestation principles. And I say, if you can apply that in business, in wealth, in love, in everything, it's the same thing. It's the same 5 steps.
Yes. That's all I've got to say to that. What do you think, when you think about the chicken and the egg, do you think more people reach a point where they realize that the money isn't enough and there's something more to life afterwards? Or do you think there's more people that are spiritual and broke financially? What do you think comes first? Because I find that I meet, not a lot, so I meet people from time to time that have realized that, what was this money for in the first place? Hold on a minute. I did, you can only have so many cars, so many watches, and so many houses. There's only so much you can do with money before it just becomes, actually a pain. But then they're like, there's got to be something more to life than just this. And that's when they lean into, taking time to learn and educate themselves on spirituality and what they can do to be better human beings, and maybe find a way to give back rather than throwing some cash at a charity, but like actually take some action to give back. Do you find that people gravitate from that side to spirituality more? Or do you find that it's the spiritual people that you teach and they're like, yeah, I just realized I am broke. That's a good point. I better go and find a way to make some money.
I don't think there's anything that's more. I think there's just this divide right now. Commercially, people are into material. So if we say material and chasing and hustler and all that type of mindset, that is probably more commercial, more because media. That's what media is, right? That's what advertisement is, right? It all gears you for buying and being broke and all the rest of it. That's the system. So I guess in that sense, that then it's more on that side, because the people who are more conscious are probably at a smaller number.
Up until probably maybe 5 years ago, I would have thought that everything related to spirituality was nonsense. Genuinely, I'd be like, it's a load of old rubbish. You just got to stay focused on taking the actions to get the job done, yeah? And I had a few hiccups in my life, some curveballs in my life. And bear in mind, I come from a very religious family. So my grandparents were preachers, and so the Seventh-day Adventists, and so my whole side of the family, or they're all missionaries. So there's a deep connection with their God on one side of the family. Not me, but with everybody else. So I had to experience something that led me there. Experience despair, experience loneliness, emptiness. I'm 52 years old. I was asking what I'm on this planet for. Surely I'm on this planet for something more than just making money. Surely there's got to be something more to my life than this. And I found that because I was asking the question, and I suppose it comes back down to the whole manifestation. You know, if you're going to ask the question and you're going to open yourself to it, then maybe the door will open and you'll find something. When I look at that, I'm extremely grateful that happened to me, but I also know lots of people where that doesn't happen at all. How do we get through to those types of people?
We always say when the teacher is ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? When the disciple is ready, the master appears. So it's if they are close to that, they are close to that. We will just put out our message in a way where, you know, everyone will have their way of communicating it, but it doesn't actually matter because it's not everybody is going to be awakened. Not everybody is going to be rich. Not everybody is going, you know, so I think it's totally fine. I see it's totally fine. But I think that one thing that you mentioned before, because it's interesting when we mention the word spirituality, people do think religion. And I think that people in religion say that is their spirituality. But religion is just, I mean, I'll tell you, just like you, when growing up in the UK, I went to Catholic school. So you say the Lord's Prayer and go to church and all the rest of it, right? My family was Buddhist, so I would do Buddha chants at home while going to Catholic school and saying the Lord's Prayer and saying Amen. I go on this journey into Hinduism in the mountains in India. It's all Hinduism, and then now we're living in Dubai, right? So yeah, now we got the Quran. So I've been very fascinated with religion. I've always been fascinated with religion. You know, what are they doing? But what I've been most fascinated with actually is why religion fights religion. That doesn't make sense, right? I mean, your God tells you that you should be fighting and hating other people. What does that mean? And I think there's too many misinterpretations that have happened from that. Is religion important? I believe it is because it has some rules and it sets some things. But I find that there's a parallel in all religion. They all have a similar message, but telling a different story. And what my thing was when I went up into the mountains and I said to my master, I said, okay, so what is this God then? And what is that God then? And I loved his answer because what he said to me, he said, actually, this God or that God or which deity or this idol, actually, it doesn't matter for you. He said, what matters for you is how are you feeling? And what does this symbolism feel to you? Is it a good feeling or is it a bad feeling? If it's a good feeling, then that's good. Just enjoy it. Just get what you can get out of it. If you feel love, great. Because he said, everything is symbolism and everything is just a representation. And he said, at the end of the day, in this world, we have two things, positive energy and negative energy. Which one are you going to move towards? Whatever gives you that. He said, it doesn't matter. You pick up a stone and rock, you say, that's your good luck charm. Carry it every single day. Make you feel good. That's great. You say, it's going to be a tree. Let it be a tree. It's going to be a shape. Let it be that. He said, whatever it is for you, let it be you. And what he said to me was, he said, whatever my belief in, what God, this God, what religion, he said, I will never put on you. Because it shouldn't put on you. And you also should not put on others. He said, just keep it nice and simple. What is positivity for people? Give that to the people. And he said, that will help the people.
It reminds me of the movie Cool Runnings, with the lucky egg that the guy had, and they were like, "What you got the egg for?" And he's like, "It's my lucky egg, okay? It's my lucky egg." Yeah, you know what? He's right. What you did is you took me into parts of my life then where I've sat down with someone that might have had crystals, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they're holding, no, this gives me peace, and this is one for optimism or whatever they may be. And I'm like, what are you talking about there? You know, you've been sold something by somebody. That's what's happened. But let that be.
That's right.
If that's for somebody and it makes them feel better, then who is anybody else to judge that?
That's right.
Talk to me about your transformation from your life before all of this happened to you. You know, when did this start for you? What was it like when you were at college or university, wherever you went when you studied? You said you're in Leeds, and what were your ambitions in life as a young person?
My dad was a leader of a gang back in Liverpool.
A gang?
Wow. He was...
As in a crime gang?
He was my hero. Well, I didn't know anything else growing up, you know. And Liverpool's a relatively rough place in the rough areas, and you know. And growing up, I didn't know anything else. I didn't know any other world. I just knew that loads of people follow my dad every single day, and it's very impressive, and everybody respects him. So I was like, wow, everybody knows Dad, you know. I want to be like him when I grow up. So when I was 15, 16, I wanted to join gangs. That was my goal. I said, Dad, I want to be like you. I want to join. Which one can I join? You know, who can I join? You know, and he was excited to bring me on board, actually. But one day he actually did. He introduced me to some gang leader and said, okay, you can join. And then I went home. Mum went crazy. You've gone through this. You've been through this, and now you want to put your son through, you know, all that, and crying and crazy. And then somehow we needed to go back to that person, pay some money and say, sorry, he's out now, you know? And I was really upset that day because I was like, man, I finally joined this gang and now I'm out, you know? But it's very interesting because obviously with gangs and leader and everything like that, there's a lot of fighting and anger and ego that is involved. And so that was me growing up. I would fight for, only I was ever right. Nobody else gets to be right. And if you are right, I'm going to shout louder than you. And if you shout louder than me, I'm going to beat you up. Like literally, in my teenage years, I would be in fights all the time. I would street fights nonstop. And because my dad was a fighter, he taught me street fighting. So I imagine I'm learning all these concepts, right? And it's interesting we say this now because they say every master was once a disaster, right? Is an interesting backstory because that was my fighting spirit. And the more my dad taught me how to street fight, he always said to us, he said, us Chinese people, we have a smaller frame. The Westerners are much bigger. If you do one-to-one fighting with people, fair fight, he said, they're going to kill you. So he taught me all these moves to knock people out without them being aware and all the rest of it. And so I used to do that. And when I did that, it fed my ego. And when it fed my ego, I became stronger and stronger. My ego became stronger and stronger. So I got into more fights and started basically bullying people. Then because of all of that, obviously I was not very academic. So when I was 15, 16 already, I said to Dad, Mum and Dad, I said, I'm moving out. They said, no, you're not. You're 15, you're 16. I just left in the middle of the night. I got a car. I wasn't supposed to be driving. I drove and I moved to Leeds by myself. I started renting a place and then I went to college. I say that I went to Leeds College of Art and Design, but I only went for a few months and it was just to meet some friends, you know. I didn't go to study. But I had to make money. So I learned the hard way because I was like, hey, who pays for these bills, right? And I need to rent someplace. How am I going to do that? So I started working in burger vans in fun fairs. So I did like Leeds Festival, Reading Festival and all that. I was like flipping burgers and making money. And I knew the importance of money. So I made money. And as soon as I can remember, I was thinking I need to open my own restaurant because I don't want to work for people. it's interesting because this is a leadership trait. And I say, actually, if I look at my life today, there are parallels. If you look at a leader, I mean, you can look at a lot of leaders in gangs. They have entrepreneurial traits. They have leadership traits. They understand how to communicate with people, motivate people.
They say that drug dealers are some of the best entrepreneurs on the planet.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right? But then the only difference is the intent and what you're actually doing, right? What good karma, bad karma, what you're doing, right? What you're putting out. So imagine I'm building those skills unconsciously just because of ego. I'm fighting and I want to be the best. And my dad always tells me that I have to lead and, you know, you can't follow people and all the rest of it, right? So I say, I shouldn't be working for you. So when I was 19, I went to some banks and I tried to borrow money for opening my first restaurant business. And obviously they're looking at a 19-year-old, what are you saying, you know? And then I said, so why doesn't it work? What capital you have? I said, I don't know what capital is. What do you mean, what capital? And he says, okay, so you need this amount to loan this amount. Okay, what's your experience? What collateral do you have? I said, collateral? What does that mean? Right? So learning all this. And then I realized something just went in my mind at that time. And I was like, hey, you're saying that if I can get 30 to 50%, I can loan another 50%. They said, yes. So how much is the restaurant you want to open? So I quoted this place, which was about 500K at the time. It's a buffet restaurant. My dad opened one before. That's why I was, and it's interesting how we're ingrained by this. I didn't think to go smaller because my dad opens 5,000 square foot restaurant. I'm supposed to open one, you know? So I just went straight in for the kill and I said, I want to open this one. They said, okay, quoted 500K. I'm like, okay, cool, 500K. So I quoted the bank and the bank says, okay, so you need at least what, 200K, whatever, to be able to get this. And I was like, okay, let me get back to you. So imagine I go back. I'm like thinking, how am I going to get 200K? How am I going to open this place? There was never a time where it crossed my mind to say, open a small store for us, open a burger van for never, because I was conditioned that you're supposed to do that first. So I was like, So I started focusing on it. And then one day, this envelope came through the post and it was for credit cards. I never had a credit card before. So I said, interesting, credit card. Never got a credit card before. I wonder if I can do anything on this. I filled in the form and I sent off the application. For some odd reason, it came back and it gave me 2,000 credit. I was like, that's interesting. I said, but there's loads of banks. So I started getting loads of banks and applying for credit cards. One of them gave me 5K. One of them, Barclays Bank, gave me 15K. I don't know why. It just gave me 15K. I must have some good credit or whatever. This was before the crash, right? So I got all of that and I gathered up around 30K in these personal loans and credit card debt. And then I said, hey, if I go to the bank now and I just tell them, hey, I'm going to open some cafe, whatever, something like that. I wonder if I could borrow 90K. Could I borrow 60K? And you'll never believe it, but it happened. And imagine I got one bank. I was NatWest, Barclays, HSBC, a few of them, Lloyds. And then I got these loans, one leveraging off the other, leveraging off the other, leveraging off the other. And I got to around just under 400K, about 390K or something like that. And that was not, I mean, you can say, whoa, that's very smart. Actually, it was very naive. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think that I'm getting into debt. I didn't think that I've got repayments. I didn't think about any of that. I was just like, I need to open this thing. And I'm born a winner, you know? So I'm just like, okay, just go for it. So imagine I'm like short now. And then when I'm short, I find out, hey, there's something called an EFG loan. There's something called an asset finance loan. I learned about all these loans and I grab everything to make it up. So eventually I got 460K and I opened this first restaurant. When I opened this first restaurant, I expected, just like Dad's restaurant, people would just come in. But it didn't happen like that. So it was quiet. And there was a few people every day coming in. And I had this empty restaurant every day. Within about the 5th week or something, I got a call. His name was Ian from NatWest Bank. Hi, Mr. Ho. I said, yes. He said, I just need to speak to you because your bank is overdrawn. I said, it can't be overdrawn. There's 15K in there still last week. He said, yeah, it's gone out for the repayments. I said, what repayments? I never calculated anything. I didn't know. I didn't know how many loans, how many repayments. I was just like, wow, quickly, open restaurant, I'm going to make money. And then I sat down with a friend who said, hey, let's look at this a second, right? What's happening? Repayments. He says, how many loans did he say? We calculated all the loans, and I think every monthly repayment was about 25, 35K or something like that per month.
A lot of money.
And I was like, well, how am I going to pay back 25, 35K every single month for the next how many years? And he was calculating. I was like, what? How am I going to do that? And it's very interesting because we always teach now. We say, hey, when emotions leads to motion, leads to action. And before, I was probably a relatively lazy kid, I would say, a person who wants more but didn't know hard work. But this got me to, I've got no choice now. And let me tell you something, I wasn't fearing losing the money, because I'll tell you what my dad taught me. My dad taught me, you know, in UK, bankruptcy is very easy. They take care of it and you don't lose anything. Your uncle went bankrupt so many times and he keeps taking more money. And I'm just like, so I wasn't scared of bankruptcy. Imagine that, right? But the thing I was scared about was my dad. Because he always told me that you've got no education, you're going to fail. He was like that hard management type of, and I always wanted to prove him wrong. I always said, no, I'm going to prove to him. I was fearful of that day I would have to move home and dad would say, you see, told you.
Yeah, told you so. Yeah.
So guess what? I started printing out leaflets, going leafleting out in the streets. I was an introvert going out on the streets, pitching to people, come for a sweet and sour chicken. We got the special, you know. I was every single day I was out there pulling people in, 10% discount, 20%. I learned sales without a sales course, because I learned why people were saying no, why people were ignoring me, how to get people's attention. So I was learning marketing and sales on the streets and not knocking on doors.
Sales or die, wasn't it?
That's right. And then I think it was month 7 or 8 or something like that, we got awarded. This was in Hull.
Hull?
A horrible place.
Yeah.
So in Hull, that year, we got Restaurant of the Year, and we were the busiest restaurant in Hull. So every single day was rammed. Really, really rammed. And I think back then I was maybe moving on 20, and that restaurant alone was probably doing about 20K, 30K a week. And it's a cash business, very strong. So I went on there from going from 1 restaurant to 2 restaurants, 3 restaurants, 4 restaurants, 5 restaurants. And after 5 restaurants, 24, 25, I started a noodle franchise. It's called Yo-Yo Noodle. And then we recruited 52 franchisees around the world, and that whole phase, I was thinking, if I have more, I'll be happy, you know. And it had to get to 52 recruits that I realized, what else? I was driving an Aston Martin, I had a yacht, I had a house on the water, and I was like, where's the happiness part of this, you know? And that's where the big question that you said before came in. Why are we here? What is the point of life? And I believe every human being asks it at least once in their lifetime. Why am I here? Do we just come here just to live and die? Why do we make money? You make money to spend money, and then that's it, you know? Ask that big question. But the problem was, I didn't have the mentor or the coaches to guide me through what is the answer to that question. And my answer to that question was, there is no point. So when it goes to no point, every single day I'm telling myself, there's no point in life. And back then I was 25. I used to get into my Aston Martin every single morning, and I used to look up and say to whoever is up there, just before I drive, I say, whoever is up there, please take me away. I didn't have the guts to do it myself. So I said, take me away. Every single day I said, take me away. Good job I wasn't so good at manifesting that time. So I'm still here now, right? But there was one day in one of our restaurants in Lincoln. We had one in Lincolnshire, Lincoln. And,
all the best places in
all the best places, yeah. And it was Valentine's Day, and we had invited a Chinese musician to play this Chinese instrument for the people. And her name was Lisa. And abruptly, she kind of finished and she packed her stuff and she said, I need to go now. I said, huh? I said, yeah, I'm finished. I need to go. I said, what's the rush, right? She said, I'm going to Kenya tomorrow. I just need to pack. I've got my flight to catch. I said, what are you going to Kenya for? This is young Chinese girl, like 17, 18, 19 years old. And then she showed me a picture of her and some kids there. And then I said, why are you going to Kenya? She said, I'm going to help these kids. She said, what, you want to come? I was like, no. I went out, because back then, because I was suffering from this depression, I used to go out drinking every single night, like drink myself to sleep, right? And then that night, I went out drinking. And while I was drinking, I said to my friends, hey, there was this chick today named Lisa, asked me to go to Kenya with her tomorrow. Can you imagine that, right? I was just half drunk saying this. And you know what my friend said? My friend said, don't go. Don't. I said, why? He said, it's really dangerous out there. You get killed. Imagine, I'm like half drunk. I pick up my phone. I message Lisa. I said, Lisa, when's your flight? I said, can I come with you? Imagine, I didn't want to do good. I was thinking, I get killed? I said, maybe that's the thing. I can't do it myself. Maybe that's the thing.
Wow.
So I said, let me go. I went out there and imagine, I remember getting out the airport in Nairobi. I don't know if you've been before. And then going out on the streets, and I thought, they're going to stab me, they're going to stab me, they're going to shoot me, they're going to shoot me, they're going to steal all my stuff, they're going to kidnap me. That was going on in my head. I was preparing myself for it, you know? And we got onto this coach, 8-hour coach, out to this Western Kenya in Bungoma. We're up in the mountains, and then to the first orphanage. I arrived at the orphanage. I looked at the kids. They were kicking this can around, like playing football, but with a can. No clothes, skin and bones, no food. And they were having the time of their life. They were like laughing and cheering. And there was this old lady in the far distance next to this mud hut. And she was smiling and cheering for them and laughing and everything. And I stood there. I burst into tears. I was like, what is this? Why are you happy? And what is wrong with me? Why am I not happy?
You have nothing and you're happy.
So I didn't get it. So then imagine the only thing I knew then was I knew I had money and I knew they didn't. And imagine I go very naive. This is a go-getter mindset, a doer mindset, not a thinker. I don't plan things. So I'm just like, okay, they need a home. So I said, they need a home. They need clothes. So what did I buy? Clothes, buy a home, do what? Imagine that orphanage was set up like literally on that one trip. We brought in 63 kids. That was our first week. And then when I built the orphanage, I said, oh no, they need education. We built the school. I said, oh no, what are they going to do after education? So all these thoughts, and then I got into this whole charity which we set up, and it's been around 12 years exactly. I just got back from Kenya last week, and the kids are all fully growing, all speaking English in college and everything, and they're very grateful, and it's just amazing. But the last 12 years in our charity, we take people out there every single year just to show people, hey, you want to learn about gratitude. You go there, you realize all the things you usually complain about is irrelevant, you know? And so I love taking people out there, and we've been doing it for like 12 years now. And that completely changed my life.
That was kind of like the catalyst, but now here we're 12 years later, you still remember that you went there not as, you know, a knight in shining armor to go and solve everyone's problems. You went there because of your own problems.
That's right.
And just being with them made you realize that your problems didn't exist.
That's right. Even till today, a lot of the teachers and kids, they say, thank you so much. You know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be alive today. There's this girl called Faith, which was dying of some disease, and we saved her, and she's a big lady now. And I said to her, I said, actually, a lot of you don't know, you guys saved me. You know, it was them who saved me.
It's so funny you say that. My story is very similar in the way that people think you do such good, and they think you give so much, you do such wonderful things, and I'm like, trust me, I get so much more back. There's just so much more that comes my way than you imagine. It's lovely that you've got that story to share. Tell me how you use that now to help people understand, because that's your story and your journey that you've been on. Do you take people out there so that they can feel what you felt, or do you take people out there because it's a worthy cause for them to learn about? What is the priority there?
It's both of the things. I mean, our charity is pretty much 99% privately funded by ourselves, so we haven't done many fundraisers and things. I set up the organization. We say however much money we make, we take a proportion. We, work on the project. Now we're working on social entrepreneurship and things. I think it's more so for people to experience it. I think that but the message doesn't change, because when I'm taking, let's say I take some bling bling Dubai people there, it'll be to experience, hey, do you know how grateful you should be about everything in your life? It doesn't matter what level you're at. And that will be awakening in itself. But when I take the people on this side, the spiritual people over, they will say, I want to do this too. I want to set up my charity. I'm saying, so why don't you? Oh, when I said, when you make the money, then you'll do it. Yeah. So why don't you focus on that then? Why don't you make yourself, physically capable? Why don't you dedicate? Why don't you work hard? Why don't you go through the hustle and grind? Because of that mission and vision you say that's deep inside your heart, that you want to make a difference. Why don't you put in the hard work, and then you can go and change the world? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that now? So I feel like it's the same message. When I take people out there, it's the same message I'm giving people.
Do you think you sell training courses, or do you think you sell or market a way of living and thinking?
It's a way of living and thinking, for sure. I think on the surface level, people see it as training courses, but you see, I think it's like I'm actually the only person I know that will teach business, leadership, sales, marketing, yoga, meditation, third eye activation, NFT trading, speaker training, communication training, mindset. I would teach all of that in 1 week. Every single week, I have all of those trainings. I think I'm the only person I know that does that. But it's because I feel that those are all the skills that make me up to who I am. And it's a lifestyle.
You see them deeply connected to each other.
It's connected.
Yeah. And because they're deeply connected, you're not actually teaching lots of different things. You're teaching a way. Selling, marketing, you're teaching business, and you're teaching a way of thinking positively. And so it's a way. It's like an all-encompassing thing. I love that. Okay, I think that's really great, because there's a lot of people out there that will teach somebody, I don't know, to be a public speaker, but where's the why? And what do you do with it once you learn how to do that?
They need all this.
The business isn't about one thing. Yeah, you're teaching them business, how to create a business and how to make money out of it, so that they can then use that money for their own benefit and others.
That's right.
Perfect. Okay, I've got some questions the team have asked me to ask with you. Okay, so I always ask my team to give me questions they want me to ask you. Hence the reason why they're always here. And so the first question is the law of attraction real? And what's the difference between that and manifestation?
Law of attraction is saying that you attract what you are. So try one day, go out there, smile at everybody that you see, and see if you attract any smiles back. Count it and record it. The next day, go out there, frown at everybody you see, and see if you get how many smiles you get back that day, and see if it made a difference. Then you'll see if law of attraction works, right? Whether you attract what you are. Manifestation, I like teaching manifestation. I don't like teaching law of attraction, because I think law of attraction is flawed. I feel that law of attraction, you can say the movie The Secret helped a lot of people awaken to law of attraction, but it also disabled a lot of people, I believe, because I have so many people who follow my channels who say, I've been visualizing this thing. Why is it not happening yet? I'm just like, but have you done anything about it? No. What do you want to do? Just visualize for 17 seconds and it's supposed to arrive? What do you mean? So I think manifestation is different. I think manifestation is saying, how do you manifest something into your reality? It's the full picture. So I teach manifestation.
Okay, next question. Okay, is there a difference between being religious and being spiritual?
It depends on the individual. If they think there's a difference, there's a difference. Yeah. In my opinion, I think spirituality is just all-encompassing. I think it's everything.
That's a great answer, actually. Do you believe success and spirituality coexist? Well, obviously you do. Typically, society tells us we can only develop one or the other. And I think that's a lot of what I've talked about earlier, but the team think about as well. So I think you've already answered that one. This is an important one. Where does happiness come from?
Happiness comes from within. It comes from self-love. It comes from appreciation. It comes from gratitude. When you have that attitude of gratitude, you're naturally just happy. So just be grateful for everything you have. And some people say, I don't have anything. You have breath. Your hands are moving. Your body is moving. Some people, they don't have hands to move. Some people are not breathing well. Some people are dying right now in this moment. You don't have anything to be grateful for.
The happiest I ever am is when I'm doing something for somebody else less fortunate than me. That makes me really, really happy. So like when I'm with the girls from Bangladesh.
But that's because your cup is filled. So that will not apply for everybody. If somebody is suffering themselves and they try to help other people, but they've got a lot of concerns and problems, and how am I going to pay for my kids to eat today and all the rest of how I'm going to pay for the rent, I'm going to get booted out. Actually, if they focus on that, they've got too many troubles here. So that's why we always say self-love starts from self-love. Love starts from self-love, right? You have that capacity. That's why it's for you. For me, it's the same. My happiness comes from contribution, right? But you have to have the capacity to contribute first.
Yeah, very valid. Okay. What is your greatest fear?
I don't think I do have it, because when you no longer fear death, I think there's no fear then.
It's almost like when you tell me the story, and it's almost like you looked for death, you looked for a solution to end your life, and by looking for that solution, it created a better life. It's almost like the cartoon when we're kids. It's like, darn it, it didn't happen.
But I think it's more to do with knowing that let's not say spirituality. Let's take science. As science has it, everything is energy, and energy is everything. We are energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. Oh, we're never destroyed. So it moves on. And when you come to a realization that, wait a second, it moves on, actually that's irrelevant right now. Just to know that it cannot die because we are energy is saying that, when you get that understanding, what's the fear? There's no fear.
You told me about Kenya. How would you describe your mission?
Raise the level of human consciousness, love consciousness, and wealth consciousness, and allow love and wealth to coincide and work together to make this world a better place.
Tell me about communities that you've worked with, or parts of the nationalities of different parts of the world, where you've seen people embrace this more than others. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed more in, I don't know, Sri Lanka, people are more open to this kind of stuff than they are in Poland or wherever it may be? I'm just picking crazy countries out of the air there, but on your journey, have you found that?
I think so. I think if we talk about more consciousness and spirituality, I think like California, LA, and places like that is there's a lot of them, very strong. India is very open for it because it's all a very spiritual place. I think the places where there is any form of resistance, let's say, it is probably the more stronger religious places which cannot quite understand what religion are you speaking about right now, until they realize that you're not speaking about religion. Then they say, okay, then I'm open.
Interesting. So like a strict Islamic environment,
that's right,
would be more of a challenge.
That's right.
It's really interesting to know that. If you the fact that you just said LA and California, I wouldn't have thought that. I thought you were going to say India for sure. I thought you were going to say, but yeah, it's like India's conditioned to be spiritual, isn't it? It's kind of like it's a spiritual place. The people are conditioned to be like that. So how would they not embrace? It's almost like in business. In England, in business, if you're in sales, the first answer you get is no. Okay, and then the 99th answer you get is no when you're new in sales. it's like people don't want to give you a chance at first. You have to really battle to get a chance. But in America, people will always give you a chance. They might not say yes, but they'll at least give you a chance.
The vibe is completely different. Americans are more open anyway. Even with the answers is more open. You ask a Brit, you say, "How's it going?" Not bad, you know. You ask American, even if it's not so good, they say, "Awesome." So complete different. They have a complete different vibe.
You open an envelope, let's high five.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sabine wanted to know this, actually. She wants to know for herself how manifestation works practically for her. So she wants some steps to follow, like the 3 basic steps that she can follow to manifest every day or every week, whatever she wants to try and manifest. So if I'm Sabine, let's just say, okay, you're coaching me and I'm one of your students. I want to get into this manifestation thing, man. Just help me on my way. Give me some steps to follow. What am I going to do first?
The first thing has everything to do with mind, is your conscious and your subconscious mind, meaning that your belief system and everything is geared for actually believing that you will actually achieve it. So that's mind. We have to keep reprogramming the mind, whether that be through affirmations, whether that be through having an environment where there's a lot of people who have achieved what you've achieved, what you want to achieve, then that builds that belief, So I think the first thing is all to do with mindset. Reprogram that mind so that it's geared for the result that you want.
And how sorry to interrupt you, how critical are affirmations?
It helps. It helps. For everybody, it will be different because it depends how vigorously you do it. It depends when you do it, are you feeling it? Some person can say, "I am confident. I am great."
Yeah.
Or some people can really feel it. And when you really feel it, it drills into every cell of your body and you feel it, you become it, So I think that it depends how you use it.
So I do this in the mirror every morning. So I look deep into my pupils and I have a conversation with myself in the morning. It takes about, I don't know, maybe it feels like 5 minutes, maybe it's 2 minutes. But I have a conversation. We talk about how my day's going to be. And I do it with an enormous amount of intent. And Tony Robbins, he was on the show and he was teaching me about, how you use that self-talk and to fire yourself up. But when I have that conversation with myself, I become almost indestructible. It's like everything negative or everything that could create some form of problem bounces off me. When I don't have that conversation, it's almost like I absorb the negative or misery or whatever it might be, issues of the day that come my way.
That's amazing. I think it's you do it very intensely. People need to do it very intensely and feel it.
I mean, I get up at 4:30 every day. I go to the gym at 5 o'clock every day. So that's my thing. But once I've come back from the gym and I get back in the shower and I get out, I have a shave and then I just stop. And I literally, people won't want to know this, but I stand there with a towel around my waist and I look into the mirror and I literally have, and it's out loud. It's not under my breath. I'm talking to myself. Some people might think that's mad, but I have that conversation and then the day becomes incredibly robust.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously you can use NLP techniques, cognitive reframing and things, because everything's an emotional, we've been conditioned through emotions. So we can change all that as well. I think mind is number one. Second thing is action. So it's not about just taking action. It's about what action are you taking. And I think when you mentioned Tony Robbins, he always says success leaves clues. The easiest way, whatever goal you want, find somebody else who has achieved it and just ask them, how did you do it? Whether that be through coaching, mentorship programs, whatever, or YouTube videos, it doesn't matter. Find the steps and just apply it, just apply it. So first thing is mind. Second thing is mechanics, right? And third thing, I refer to as mastery, which is referring to energetic, conscious about your energy. So every single day, are you worrying? Every single day, are you feeling worthy? How are you energetically? Right? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling low? Right? Be completely conscious in every moment. Live in the present moment through breath work, so that you're very present. What am I feeling right now? Wait there a second. Why am I feeling off? Right? Because if energetically we are off, then we cannot attract. right? Things come together when they're of the similar frequency.
Yeah.
And so I think the third thing to master and practice and become very aware of is how are we feeling energetically? And when we're feeling off, then how can we reframe that?
Okay, last question. What's one exercise or activity that you would recommend somebody can start today to lead a more positive, happy and fulfilled life?
Easy. Just breath work. And when I'm talking about breath work, don't need to think of any complex 444 square box, whatever, anything. It doesn't matter. Actually, just slow, deep inhale, slow, gentle exhale. If you can just do 3 breaths, don't even talk about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour practice, right? Some people say, I don't have the time for that. If you just do 3 breaths, if you just do 5 breaths, if you just do 10 breaths, whenever you can, any given moment, breath is life, is important. Let's breathe, right? But breathe consciously. It doesn't matter the stress, the worry, the sadness, whatever you have that's going on, frustration, you try 3 breaths, 5 breaths, 10 breaths, you will not be equally as frustrated. It would have gone. You go into peace. And then from peace, then move into gratitude, then go into focusing on your intentions. What do you want?
You've got 1.7 million followers on YouTube, and I'm sure the audience is bigger through your other social media channels. I think your message is really important. And I think more people need to hear it, because I'm a real practical person and I resonate with it enormously. And so I can only say thank you so much for coming to share your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute joy. Thank you.
Thank you.